Conservatism. As the word conservatism suggests, it aims to protect traditional ideals. When you look at Western culture, conservatives generally support the military, property rights, the nuclear family, and organized religion. Liberalism. People often say that liberalism has been the most important idea in modern history. It normally likes the idea that everyone has their own rights, that the people should be able to vote for the government, and that the law should treat everyone the same. Other things it likes are free markets, elections with more than one political party, a separation of powers between the different parts of the government, a separation of religion from the government, privacy rights, freedom of speech, freedom of the press, freedom of assembly, and freedom of religion. Moderatism. Moderatism likes to stay within what is known as the Overton window. This is the range of policies that most people in society agree are publicly acceptable. Many moderates are apolitical, which means they don't care about politics, but they do know a few things about them. Capitalism. Capitalism is an economic system in which the means of production are privately owned and used to make money. Private property, free trade, competition, the division of labor, and working together as a society are some of the most important parts of capitalism. Socialism. This word is a general term for all kinds of socialism. In its most basic form, socialism means that the means of production are owned by the workers, and it strongly supports worker coups, democratic self-management, and workplace democracy. In the modern world, socialism calls for workers to be able to control their own jobs democratically, for rich people to pay high taxes, and for key parts of industry to be taken over by the government. Social ownership is one of its most important ideas. Syndicalism. The ideology of syndicalism comes from socialism. It supports organizing workers into unions, setting up decentralized local revolutionary worker groups called syndicates, and pushing for workers' rights through strikes and direct action as the best ways to create a socialist society. Once there is a society that is no longer based on capitalism, there will be a congress or commune of syndicates that speak for all the different groups or parts of the economy to the central government. Corporatism. Corporatism says that society should be divided into different job fields, such as farming, the military, engineering, and so on. People should be put in these fields based on their skills and hobbies. It supports a cross-class system of regulation where workers, businesses, and the government all talk to each other to run the economy most efficiently and, ideally, make everyone happy. It doesn't mean a government system where big businesses always win. That is what a corporatocracy looks like. Libertarianism. Libertarianism values freedom above all else and wants people to have as much freedom as possible in their personal and political lives. It wants a very small government. It follows the same ideas as liberalism, like the idea that everyone is equal before the law and has the basic rights to life, liberty, and property. Separatism. Separatism, which is also called secessionism, wants to make a new nation, country, sovereign state, or government that is separate from a current one. Communism. Communism is based on the idea that everyone should own the means of production, distribution, and trade so that goods are given to people based on their needs. People in a communist society don't own things, have social groups, have money, or have the government. Feminism. Feminism tries to make sure that men and women are treated equally in politics, the economy, relationships, and society. People who believe this say that societies put men's views first and treat women unfairly in those societies. To change this, people are working to get rid of gender stereotypes and make it easier for anarchists to get schooling and jobs. Anarchism. With a focus on the idea of freedom, anarchism is an ideology that wants a society without rulers or formal control. It calls for the end of states and the creation of stateless societies and free associations that people can join on their own. Environmentalism. Environmentalism, which is also sometimes called green politics, is a broad term for a group of ideas that believe nature should play a big role in making public policy, like how to improve recycling, lower CO2 emissions, stop water pollution, and so on. Populism. With the idea that what the masses want must be what the masses get, it tries to appeal to a lot of people and their feelings. It only needs to be a movement by the people for the people, and it can look like a lot of different things. Because of this, it doesn't really have a political stance. Because it depends on public support, it's often linked to governments. It's often against the establishment and politicians, and it separates the common people from the rich. Republicanism. Republicanism is a philosophy based on a form of government that is not inherited, and unlike monarchy, gives political power to the people who live in a republic-style state. Progressivism. Progressivism says that heritage that stems from the past is not to be held sacred and should instead be viewed as less important than societal progress. It's basically the opposite of conservatism. Imperialism. Imperialism has always thought that a country should use military force to gain more power or influence. It used to be very famous, and as a moderation, it was pretty good, but over the years, it has lost some of its appeal. Imperialism is known for supporting war and the idea that stronger countries should rule over smaller ones. When he is accused of oppression, he usually says that the people he colonizes benefit because better countries help them and give them things they couldn't get otherwise. Egalitarianism. The idea of social equality is at the heart of egalitarianism, which says that everyone should have full access to it. Because of this, every person who lives in a state should have the same rights and be treated the same way by the government. Transhumanism. Transhumanism says that everyone should use technology to improve themselves and solve all of life's problems, no matter how simple or complicated they are. The final goal is for everyone to live forever and have a mind and body that are very advanced. Communitarianism. Communitarianism is a way of thinking that puts the community as the most important social unit and its well-being first. It will usually stress that the traditional left-right divide in politics is holding things back. It will also say that policies from both sides are needed and helpful to help the community. It thinks that total individualism is bad when it goes against what's best for everyone. Authoritarianism. In an authoritarian government, there is usually one strong person in charge who makes everyone follow the rules, and there aren't many political or social rights. One example of this is that most monarchs are a type of authoritarianism. The ruler of an authoritarian country imprisons and persecutes its opponents. Fascism. Fascism says that people are weak when they are split up, but strong when they are united behind a flag, whether it's of a country, a state, an army, or something else. It is authoritarian, which means that it's characterized by a controlling government that rejects the idea that people can vote between multiple parties. It involves a strong central power, which usually refers to a dictator, so it rejects separation of power. Fascism is also ultranationalist, which is the belief that a nation shouldn't care about other nations' rights as long as it benefits itself. Ultranationalism. Ultranationalism usually coexists with militarism, which means the belief that a country should have a strong enough military to protect its own interests and ideals, often goes hand in hand with ultranationalism. Force is used to stop people from speaking out against fascism. It supports giving up personal goals for the sake of what's best for the country or race, and it believes in a natural social order. Nazism. Nazism is a type of fascism that is based on the racist idea that the Aryan race is better than other races. To make things better, it thinks that the Aryan race should rule the rest of the world. This makes it fundamentalist. The Nazis said that to be an Aryan, you had to be white, straight, mentally and physically strong, not afraid, and not Jewish. If you are not Aryan, people call you Untermensch, which means less than human. Also, it likes genetics, which is a set of ideas and actions that try to make people's genes better. Because of this, people with inherited diseases were thought to be useless eaters and were either killed or sent to camps right there because they were thought to not deserve to live. Nazism also hates homosexuals because it sees them as less than human. I'm going to make more videos like this. Subscribe to see them.